Hello there, Internet. Ando here, back with a new video sometime before next year. Amazing. Anyways, today's video is about 5-minute crafts. If you've never heard of them, how? But for all you people who have recently woken up from your comas, congratulations by the way, 5-Minute Crafts is an immensely popular channel known for creating life hack and crafting videos. The channel was started in 2016 and is owned by The Soul Publishing and has amassed about 69 million subscribers since. The Soul Publishing is one of, if not the biggest content farms on the platform, boasting over 100 channels and releasing over 500 videos a month. As opposed to me, who releases a video about once every 2 years. There are a few distinct hallmarks of these types of content farm DIY videos that 5-Minute Crafts employs. Clickbait thumbnail that may or may not appear in the video, clever and fast-paced editing that makes you never question anything you see because, oh, look, shiny. Top-tier acting, an unholy amount of hot glue, super complicated ways of doing something very not complicated, a few minutes of original content, and then an onslaught of recycled hacks, sometimes more than once in the same video. The unnecessary transformation of something functional into something less functional, bad taste all around, obvious fake or misleading footage, oops, and clickbait titles that often follow a basic formula. Random number that does not correlate to the number of actual hacks in the video. Adjective, bold statement or lofty promise that will probably not be kept. Some of their other content ranges from, here's how to make some cool slime stuff, here's some ASMR, here's a cool product, no, we're not going to tell you where you can buy it. And that's just scratching the surface. The truth is, these channels know exactly what they're doing, and they have distilled the method of making easily consumable and shareable content. And before you know it, it's 6 a.m. and you've spent the last 3 hours watching an endless stream of life hack videos on how to reuse soda cans. Not that I've done anything like that. Hey, did you know that you can fix a hole in anything with nothing but eggshells, glue, and a can-do attitude? While a vast majority of their videos feature normal life hacks, or ones that seem plausible but just time-wasting or inconvenient, the ones that really tend to stand out in people's minds are the ones that just straight up lie to you. It's like they don't expect people to actually attempt them, or they withhold measurements and other vital information to replicate the hacks. Or they actually don't care if you try the hack and it doesn't work. The troubling part about this is a lot of these content farm channels are very popular. They're always going viral and trending, especially on Facebook. It's like they're haunting me. Anyways, the problem is that when these videos get put on trending and then get promoted by the algorithm, it takes away attention from other, smaller, independent channels that put more effort into creating engaging content where they don't lie in them. It's pretty interesting though because other YouTubers have decided to start debunking and testing these hacks, and it's almost become its own genre. I guess you can go ahead and add my name to the roster because that's what this video is. Actually, like 3 channels I'm subscribed to just made new videos about content farms while I was filming and editing this. Heck, 5-Minute Crafts themselves have gotten into debunking their own hacks. The rabbit hole is circling back on itself. Anyways, that brings us to the meat of this video. I consider myself as something of a crafter, so I decided to curate a selection of hacks and crafts from 7 separate videos to try out. They range from impossible to impractical to just plain bad looking. So let's go ahead and jump right in. What's the worst that could happen? Severe burns? Okay, problem. I have a hard time sitting on a beanbag chair at the same time as somebody else. Solution. Go home and make a coffee table. So this is the kind of caliber of video we're looking at here. Are you sick of having a functional shelf and you just want to hang up your one sweater, you only have one. Hot glue a drawer handle to the top of your closet, and then it will have enough strength to carry one sweater and nothing more, because it will inevitably collapse. Also, where do you get white hot glue sticks? I've never seen that before. Yeah, that's what was put in the bag. Same thing. Using sprinkles like that, those look like those would catch fire and maybe burn your house down. I don't know. Is it okay to catch sprinkles on fire? I'm not going to try that. I don't want to burn my house down. But let's give the rest of it a try. Can you whip wax and make it look like frosting? I doubt it, but let's go see. Come along. So I first started out by melting down some paraffin wax pellets and some color using an old pan I keep around for crafting purposes only. I really didn't want wax residue on my normal cooking pans. After everything was incorporated, I poured it into a couple of silicone cupcake liners, spilling hot wax all over my cutting mat in the process. Next, I added the wicks, which didn't stay standing like theirs did, so I had to prop them up with a wooden skewer and put them aside to cool down while I scraped up all the spilled wax. I feel like I'm going to be doing this a lot. Next, I melted up some more wax pellets and added some more pigment, and tipped that into a mixing bowl to beat on high until it looked frosting-like. I was pretty surprised that the wax actually whipped. I was positive that it would just end up crumbling. I put the wax into a piping bag and proceeded to burn my bare hands because it is still very hot, so I grabbed an oven mitt. Despite the fact that I didn't use any decorative tips, I thought it looked pretty passable as frosting. I was also still curious about the sprinkles, so I decided to test it out. A small flame really only managed to burn the sprinkles a little without catching fire, but just to be sure I decided to test out a butane torch. The sprinkles did catch fire on that one. It's a little hard to see on the camera though. And they also smelled pretty darn bad. In the spirit of scientific discovery, I decided to taste one, and it was not pleasant. I ultimately decided not to chance it and used sugar sprinkles instead. Okay, so this was the result. I mean, it doesn't look as good as in their video, probably because they didn't really use actual wax that clearly looked a little too creamy and less like the sludgy stuff that they poured into the bag initially. So I think that they actually used real whipped cream or frosting for the final shot, and maybe up until that point they were using actual wax. But I mean, if I used a real piping tip instead of just cutting the bag open, I think that this would have looked pretty decent. Alright, so I'm shocked. Those actually worked. 5-minute crafts. We're off to a good start. Let's go on to the next one, shall we? Oh my gosh, he's so pissed. So he goes out of the way to get skewers to keep the wick straight, and it doesn't even work. The wick just goes through the hole in between. That doesn't seem very good. Alright, I mean, I have a teacup that's kind of broken that I can use that. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. So I started by heating up some wax again. I tried using food coloring earlier for a different candle, and all it did was sputter and bubble, wouldn't mix in at all. So I used the coloring that came with the wax pellets again. I poured that all into my cracked teacup and added a wick. I tried to do their weird skewer trick, but it sucked, so I improvised. Aw man, don't I hate being right. Yeah, the skewer wasn't keeping the wick straight. So I decided to go with the tried and true method of just wrapping the wick around the skewer instead of using 2 skewers to do a job half as good. One thing I noticed is that in the teacup, the wax ended up, after it hardened, making this giant divot in the middle, so it doesn't look very nice, but after I get the candle going, it should look fine. I've hated that candle hand since the moment I saw it. I don't think it looks good. I think it looks terrifying and horrible. The epitome of all things bad. So of course I have to make it. Let's go melt some wax. Once again, I melted up some wax pellets, and this time I decided to color it green like a spooky witch. I set up the glove by stretching it over the opening of a big pickle jar and arranged the wicks. I went ahead and poured the wax, luckily catching that the pressure in the jar started to make the glove overflow. And after readjusting, I poured the rest of the wax and set everything aside to cool for a few hours. Alright, let's take it out. Wait. Hold on. So yeah, the jar opening was a little too small to remove the glove, and when I managed to finally get it out, some of the fingers broke. Let's try this again. Second time around, I forgot about the pressure issue with the jar and spilled hot wax over everything. Third try. After pouring, I let the wax cool just enough that I was able to remove the glove from the jar and set it aside to cool. Also, I guess there was a leak, but I was out of gloves and very over it altogether. So this is my second attempted hand. Let's see if it's just as wretched as I imagine it looks. Alright, so I think I'm going to call it before I get down to the fingertips, but these wicks are not going to be sticking out of the fingers because it's a glove, so there aren't holes in the fingers specifically for wicks. So I've spent all this time making the world's ugliest candle for it not to even be able to function like a candle unless I cut the tips of the fingers off to find the wick, so yay. This is totally worth spilling hot wax all over my knuckles, wasn't it? And my suspicions are correct. No wick sticking out. I'll just add some new ones, I guess. Alright, let's light her up. Out of all the candles, this one is definitely going to set my house on fire. Who wants to give it a high five? It's gonna be a no from me, dog. So this might be the worst thing I've ever done, and I'm including that Yu-Gi-Oh print I made a couple years ago. Now that I've scraped the melted wax off of my cutting mat, let's move on to the next one, shall we? So crayons are wax, yes, and then nail polish is acetate, I believe. So I don't know how well those two things meld together, but I mean, I'd be a quitter if I didn't try, so let's go ahead and see. So first I'll need to cut off the wrapper and break up the crayons to melt. Let's go ahead and add some nail polish. So they used like 2 crayons, and just a very small amount of nail polish, but they don't tell me how much. Oh no! It's like already starting to solidify. Oh, now it's getting all chunky. Maybe I need to add some more nail polish. DIY nail polish, guys. I'm basically making a coating of crayon wax on my fingertips. So I guess in that regard it is technically polishing my nails. I mean, I knew it was gonna be like this, but I did it anyways, so I guess who's the real idiot in this situation? It's not 5 Minute Crafts, they're laughing at me. Beautiful. For more makeup tips, follow my channel. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? Ooh. Oh no. I got nail polish crayon all over everything. Alright, so I had to go put my mouse pad over there. I didn't want it to soil my beautiful manicure. Okay, yeah, it looks plausible. It's basically just like a way to make your own homemade chameleon markers. I don't know if you've heard of these markers. They're pretty fun. They're designed specifically to combine two colors, kind of like that, but it's more like a gradient where it starts as one color and then it kind of merges into another. That one seemed almost like half and half, so alright, I'll give it a try and see if it works. Okay, first off, it looked like they used a highlighter, so let's go ahead and... How long can I keep these nasty ass nails? Okay, so there's my highlighter. Let's put that there. So I used a brush tip, so I'll go ahead and use a Copic. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it sort of works for like a couple of seconds. Let's go write something. I'm so clever. Okay. I'm sure nobody's ever used that joke before. I mean, yeah, it sort of works. I'm gonna keep docking points in the unofficial score, just for everything that these nails ruin. Alright, next one. I personally don't see any way this could work, but let's go ahead and give it a try. This one's gonna be messy. Alright, so I actually made this a couple of days ago. It's been drying outside ever since, and I mean, honestly, it looks pretty good, so maybe I have to eat my words. Maybe this one does work, so let's go ahead and see if it writes. Okay, cool. Oh my gosh. Do you see that? Oh my god, this is just a regular piece of chalk. You guys have been freaking duped. I whittled down a piece of sidewalk chalk and just shoved it in this syringe. Let's go look at the actual chalk I made out of eggshells and flour and water, shall we? First, I went and cut the top off of my big plastic syringe. Luckily, it's October, so it was easy to find them in the party supply stores. Next, I went to the kitchen and blended the eggshells, flour, and water on high. It was pretty loud and stinky. Truly a winning combination. 5-Minute Crafts gave no measurements to work off of, so I eyeballed it as best I could. Yeah, sure, whatever. My blender is plastic, so I wasn't sure if it would stain, so just to be safe, I scraped everything into a glass measuring cup and added the food coloring last. After everything was nice and mixed up, I filled my syringe. There was a lot left over, and I was pretty worried that the egg goo wouldn't fully dry in the syringe, so I decided to pour the excess into a shallow muffin pan and put everything outside to dry. A few days later, I checked on my egg chalk and noticed everything was puffing up in the sun and felt really bready. I realized I had actually been using self-rising flour and was worried that that might be responsible for the puffiness, so I prepared a second batch, using normal flour this time. I mixed together all the ingredients, added my dye, and prepared a new syringe of egg goo to dry. I checked on it a few days later, and it looked and felt exactly the same, so whatever. Let's see if it can write. This is my first batch. I made this one, I think about a week ago. I knew that it was gonna need a couple of days to dry. My main issue that I was seeing with this was that even if by some miracle you can make a chalk-like substance out of these ingredients, it will not dry in a syringe. There's not a lot of space for air to get in, so it was not going to set. So I think I was pretty right in that assumption, because this one, which I made about a week or so ago, is starting to re-liquefy in the tube. It's like starting to turn teal for some reason, and it's just all liquid. I'm not putting that on my chalkboard. That's gross. This one I actually made about 3 days ago. It's basically just as liquidy inside, and it is full of holes and air, and a lot of it ended up kind of oozing out the top. I am also not subjecting my blackboard to that grossness. Okay, so clearly the syringe part did not work. Okay, so this was the second mixture. This one has more flour in it, and then this was the first mixture. This one came out a lot greener. All right, let's give it a go. This basically is like a cookie. Maybe the outside is just too hard. Okay, this one's a little bit newer. Maybe it needs to be kind of like fresh. Ooh. It's a little moist on the inside still. Nope. Alright, so I think we can conclude that you probably cannot make chalk out of flour, eggshells, and water. I don't know. Maybe somebody can disprove me. Ruin your own blender at home and let me know how it works. I'm not going to probably do this again. This smells really bad. Okay, on to the next one. So that's another chalk one. I think this one will work a lot better. Personally, I think using actual chalk as a main ingredient in making chalk is probably already 500% better than the last one. I don't have any chalk powder, so instead I took some old pieces of sidewalk chalk I already had and grated them down into a powder. The sticks were already colored, but I don't care. After I had a good amount of dust, I scraped it up and poured it into a plastic bag. I couldn't tell what kind of paint they used in the clip, but it looked like tempera, so that's what I used. I added an amount, again, no measurements, and poured in the water and smooshed it around for a bit until everything was incorporated.
It looked way too watery, so I ground up some more chalk and mixed it in again. Next, I grabbed a toilet paper roll. They didn't show it in the video, but I went ahead and closed off the bottom with saran wrap and tape to keep everything from leaking out the bottom. I poured in my chalk mixture, then I put it outside to dry for about a week. And here it is.
Let's go ahead and open her up and see what I find. I hope it's a stick of chalk.
So it looks like the bottom part that was covered by the saran wrap is still a little moist. So I'll just test the top part. I'm sure when it fully dries, it'll write the same anyways.
Okay, moment of truth. Ooh, yeah. I mean, it's not as good as a regular stick of chalk. Oh no, that didn't work. Yeah, I'd say wait for this side to dry out a little bit more if I'm ever going to use this stick of chalk. I mean, I probably won't. So I can't really imagine a case where someone would have a lot of chalk powder lying around, but not actual sticks of chalk. Maybe it's like if you're a rock climber, or maybe you're like you can buy sidewalk chalk at the dollar store. I don't see any situation in which you could make sticks of chalk and it would be a better choice. So I'll give it a point. Okay, so that's like a travel trick if you're going someplace and you don't have a plastic bag to put your stuff in. Alright, let's give it a try. Okay, I've got my face towel, my toothpaste, and my toothbrush. It's a really cool one. It even says so. I got this at the dentist when I was a child. I use it to clean grout. So I guess I have to be really thorough exactly how they do it. So I gotta stab directly into the direction of my palm. You guys can get mad at me for not accidentally impaling my hand as much as you want. I am not gonna open up a water bottle that way. Okay. Bit of a snag. Okay. Ooh, that sounded violent. Okay, that worked. Let's try from the other end now. Let's go ahead and make myself a face towel burrito. Yeah, I mean, it's got a big old slit down either side, so it doesn't keep it clean very well. Like, I wouldn't throw this in a backpack, but maybe like put a bag around it and then throw it in a backpack. But at that point, you could have just put all of it in a bag. So, okay, next one. Okay, so I kind of like that one. When I was a kid, I had a hard time cutting wrapping paper where the scissors would glide. I mean, actually, I probably would give that to a child to use because it's got like a pretty exposed blade on it, but maybe if you're an adult and you have a hard time cutting wrapping paper, this could be a handy thing to have. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so they don't tell me how I'm supposed to attach the blade to the toilet paper tube, so guess I'm gonna have to use my hot glue gun. Oh, I glued it the wrong way. Why is this one the most complex?
I burned my finger. But it's not really using a hot glue gun until you burn your finger. Okay, I guess I'll tape it down. Okay. So the main issue is the wrapping paper keeps on getting shoved behind the blade. Oh, it's finally working. It's easy! Okay, so, I'll give it half a point because I feel like some of this is on me for just being bad at this. Okay, next one on the roster. We're getting close to the end, folks. Oh, no, I lied. There's a bunch more. We're only on the third video. Okay, I thought they were making the anarchy symbol with straws. Okay, that makes much more sense. Alright, let's go give that one a go. Is that level? The last thing I'd want to do is some shoddy craftsmanship. Some shoddy 5-minute craftsmanship. Ta-da! It works. I mean, maybe this would be like nice for, I don't know, like a buffet table at a wedding, or I mean, they only put photos on it, so I guess that would work. I mean, yeah, this one works. 1 point. Hello again. Hope you've been enjoying the show, but sadly, we've come to a close, at least for today. While I was editing, I realized I was getting close to the 1 hour mark and decided to break it up into 2 parts. The second part will be released same time next week. But if you'd like to watch it a day early and get your name in the credits, please consider backing my Patreon. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. Have you ever tried out a life hack? How many glue gun burns did you get? Anyways, there's a lot more in store for next week, but to hold you over for now, have a quick compilation of horrifying toy crafts that only Sid would be proud of. See you next time! Bye-bye! Is this any way to respect our troops?